Hello everyone, so today we will talk about the Linux file permissions and ownership. So today we will talk about like the permissions and ownership of our files and directories, how we can change it, and what should we consider while changing the file permissions. And we will cover a number of commands to get aware of how we can change the permissions. Okay, so let's move to our actual session. So first of all, so let's see like what are these permissions. We have just written a command ls-l, and what are these, like what are this information it was giving to us. So let's discuss that first. Let me zoom it. Okay, so yeah, so first of all, this part, let's copy that and write it here. So there are basically 4 columns. First is this, and second one is this, third one is this, and the last one is this. Okay, so our first column, that is D, actually represents what kind of element or what kind of substance it is. Okay, so D is for directory. D is for directory, whereas you will find 2 more options here instead of D. One is hyphen. I will use colon for explaining what it is. This is used for the file. Okay, then there is one more which I will not cover in this because it is out of scope part. Okay, we will cover it in later sessions. And this is for the links. D is for directory. D is for directory, the hyphen is for file, and L for the links. Here you will see only D. That's mean all the folder, all the content of this current directory are containing the folders. Okay, containing the directories. Let me show you about the file part. Okay, so let me create a file s.txt. Now ls-l. Okay, here you can see hyphen is used for the file system, sorry, hyphen is used for representing the file, whereas D is used for representing the directories, folders. Okay, one more thing is that you will see like my directories are in different color, whereas file is in different color. So this is basically like cell specific automation, customization, sorry. So you can also do it for yourself. I am using the ZSH with Telix, so you can customize it for yourself. I'm not going to cover it for you. And also, like most of the Linux distro provide this configuration customization by default, but may or may not you will see the directories in different color in your system, so don't worry about it. Okay, so moving to our next part, what are these options, like what are these exactly? So let's go through each section. So first column contains this 3 elements. Okay, so these 3 letters represents about the user permission. Okay, I will like explain what permission is it is. Okay, let's discuss like, okay, so first section is for the user. For this directory we have a user, that is Shubham, and it has permission read, write, and execute. Now I will tell you first, let me write it for you, like what this represent. Access for execute. Okay, now I will tell you like what do you mean by read, write, and execute. So for user, for specific to user, read is for reading the files inside the directory. Okay, whereas W is for uh, altering, or you can say changing the content of the file. Okay, so for the case of directory, like if you have a file or something, so you can directly read is for reading the file, w is for changing the content of the file, and execution is for executing the file, like if it is a binary or something, shell script or something. Okay, but what does it mean for the directory part? So for the directory part, it has R for is reading the content of the files inside the directory. Okay, then W is for changing the content of the files inside this directory. And what does this execution means? So it is not like file, like we can execute the directory. It is not like that. So for execution is like, let me tell you with an example, like changing the directory. Okay, changing the directory. Let me show you. Let's say if you don't have the execute permission, then you can't go inside this directory, or you cannot perform any kind of operation on this directory, not something related to the changing the content. Other than changing the content, you can't do any kind of operation, not even you can go inside to this directory. So that is meant by the execute. Okay, now for the second part, that is this section, r-x. So this explains the group. Okay, the permission given to the group. So here in this case, for the desktop, the permission, the group name is Shubham again, and what kind of permission it has been given? So it has only two permission, read and execute. It doesn't have permission to to change the content of this folder. Okay, so so what group it is, like I have covered about the group, what is group, how uh, what uh, what uh, what is made up of group, like how it is made up of. So let me give you a short summary. Like in a group, like just an example, in a company, so there are different users. Okay, each have its own specialty. Like some are from the technical department, some are from the finance department. So instead of giving each user its permission and all, we create groups and we assign these users inside that group. So what would happen, like the group has permission to execute, to have a certain amount of permissions to a particular directory or file, and accordingly the users inside that group also have the same permission as for the group. Okay, so group is used for that purpose, and I'm the owner of this particular directory, and also the group name is also like my name. So for this is it. And for the third part, like third part is for the others part. Okay, so there are three things. First one is for user, second one is for group, okay, and third one is for the others. It has also abbreviation, like you will use U for the user, G for the group, and O for the others. Okay, so like others are basically everyone other than user and the group. Everyone other than the user, the main user, the owner of the directory or file, and the group of users, you can say. So a group, anyone other than this group and this user, okay, is considered as others for this directory or file. So next okay, so we have created a file, so it has nothing inside it, and you can see it has been given some default configurations, some default permissions. So what is it? First let me clear the terminal. Let me write it again. Okay, so for this, okay, so it kind of like some messy thing. First of all, what we do, we create a directory, move the test file inside the test folder. Okay, here you can see everything has been removed. Now we'll move inside the test folder, clearing the terminal. Here now you can see there's only one file. We have moved inside the test directory in order to simplify things for ourselves. So now we have discussed, like, first section is for the directory or the file or the link part. Now let's understand by this, like, for this file we have three things. First is we can read the content of the file. Second, we can change the content of the file, but as you see there is a hyphen in the execution part. That means we cannot execute this file. Let me show you what it does mean. Like, let's say we have written, okay, we have written ls command, ls-l, just save it. So here you can see there is no output of error. That's showing that we cannot edit this file because we have the permission. I'm the owner of this file. Now if I want to run this file, test.txt, see, here is showing that I have error for this. So what does this mean? This means it's like I don't have permission to execute this file. But if I try to execute this file using the JDC script, it is able to execute it because it was just running the command inside this file. Okay, but we cannot directly execute this file directly. So how we can do that? So first of all, okay, so for that we are going to use a command, that is chmod command, abbreviated at chmod. So let's say if we want to give an execution permission, so first of all press X, then the test file name, enter. Now you will see, like, here is this permission. Okay, sorry. So we have permission, no execution permission for all the users, like for the user group and the others part. But now if we try to check what changes has been made, so you will see execution is added, execution part is added for each of the user group and the others part. Okay, so this is like one other application you can use with the chmod command. Plus X is for applying execution to each of the owner, like user group and other. And like if you want to take back this ownership, we just remove the permission while using minus hyphen with the X. Now let's check it again. Here you can see execution has been removed for each of the owner. Now let's just clear the terminal. So here now we will see some more thing, like if you want to apply for applying for the execution only for the user part. So how we can do that? We can do that through, okay, U is for user, we have talked about, like U is for user, G is for group, and O is for others, plus X test.txt. Now if we check permission, you will see user has been given a permission of execution. Okay, if we try to take back our permission of execution, we will simply write hyphen instead of plus to take back the permissions. Now checking back again, so here you can see user, the owner of the this file, has no permission to execute this file. So okay, so first clear the terminal, ls-l. So moving more to how we can change chmod. Okay, so let's say if it doesn't have any permission for execution. Okay, user don't have permission to execute. What if we still write -x to this file? Let's see what will happen. So there is nothing happen in this because it doesn't have any permission to execute the file. Now we will still removing the execution permission, so it remains unchanged. Next, what we can do is if let's do with the group and others part 2. chmod g plus x test ls ls test l. So here you can see initially we have read write permission to the group, but now you can see it has also permission of execution, which was previously not there. And if we want to take back the read permission, we can do that. chmod g minus r test dot txt. Now in the command again, here you can see we have taken back the permission of read from the group, whereas the other ownership remains the same. So we will give the permission to write it again, chmod g plus r test dot txt. Now checking back. Okay, so we still have the permission. Now we regain back our permission to read the file for the group ownership. Now first clear the terminal, show the permissions. Now let's do for the others ownership o plus, so it has only the read permission. Now we will want to give the execution permission, so we can do this by adding o plus x as a flag with the chmod command in the file name. Now checking our execution. Okay, so you can see initially it doesn't have any permission to execute the file, but now we have added the permission to execute the file. Okay, so if we have seen till now that we can change the permission bit by bit. What if I want to change to permission, I want to add an execution as well as removing the read permission? How we can do that? So first of all, let's say I just remove the permission of execution from this test file. So it has only read permission, which was initially there. Now we want to add a permission to execute as well as write to the file for the others ownership. So then for the name of the file, now checking what we have done. So here you can see for others ownership we have given two permissions other than read, that is read and execute through this command chmod plus option o plus xw, then the name of the file. Okay, one more thing you can do similar for the directory part. We will cover some of the main points while working with the directory in a few minutes. So let's first clear the terminal, ls-l. So we have given the permission to read and write. We have similar permission for the group too. Now we want to take back from the group. So how we can do that? G minus, let's say we want to take back read and execute from the group, then the name of the file, Now we'll check back again. So here you can see the group has no permission to write and execute the file, whereas our others has permission to write and execute the file. So if we want to just want to give the permission to write the file and want to okay, so what we'll do to give the permission to write the file, at the same time we want to remove the permission to read the file for the group part. So how we can do that? So chmod g minus r g plus x, g minus r g plus x, then the name of the file. Okay, sorry. Okay, so it I guess we have to do it. Let's see this works or not. ls dash l okay, so what we have done, we had removed the read permission and also include the execute permission for the group. So this is the wrong syntax, by the way. It is, this one is the right syntax, this one is the right option to add with the chmod command along with the file name. Okay, so similarly we can do for the user and others part. Let me show you. First clear the terminal and shows the initial permissions. So now for the user we have two permissions, read and execute, read and write. We don't have permission to execute. So now we will change the permission for the user to execute the file, whereas removing the permission to write the content of the file inside the content inside the file. Okay, change the content of the file. Then the file name, that is the test.txt, ls-l. So here you can see for the user part, this is for the user. We have taken our write permissions here through this one, and we have given the execute permission through this one, which was initially it has write permissions and doesn't have execute permission, but now it has opposite one, like we have removed the write permissions and added the execute permissions for the user. Now similarly we can do for the three commands, let's say like three inputs. Let's say I just first remove the permissions, remove all the permission for the group. So here you can see no permission has been given to the group. Now if we want to like add permission for the group part, all the three permission, how we can do that? chmod g plus read write execute tst.txt. okay, now ls-l. So we have got all the three permissions, read write execute, for the group ownership. Now first close the terminal, showing back our lsl. So what if we want to take back all the permissions? So we can do the similar thing, read write execute and the name of the file, checking the results. So we have taken back all the permissions. Okay, let's see, is there another way to add the all three permission without writing like rwx? Is there anything to do so? Let's say we haven't mentioned anything and then the name of the file, so it doesn't show any error. Okay, so nothing has changed with g plus command. G plus flag doesn't give any permission. Okay, so okay, so in order to give all the three permissions to each one of them, if we want to give all the three permission to each one of the ownership, how we can do that? chmod plus x plus read, write, execute in the name of the file, enter ls-l. So here you can see all the three owners, user, group and others, have all the three permissions: read, write and execute for each of them. How we can do that? We have added an option of plus rwx with the chmod command along followed by the file name. Okay, so this is all. Like, okay, let me show you like what it exactly mean. Okay, let's say I will just remove the write permission. Okay, so user minus write permission from this file. Now checking back, here you can see the user, that is me, having the read permission and execute permission, but I don't have permission to write into the file. Okay, so let's write into the file something. Echo ls dash a. Okay, if we use like one greater than sign, then it will replace the content of the file, whereas if we will use two greater than sign, then it will append whatever context I will give into this file. So it will append ls-a command inside this file. Okay, so it shows we have permission denied. That means we don't have permission to write into this file. But if we use sudo, so sudo gives like gives super user permissions, which is above all users. So we can okay, so we can append the content inside the file using sudo command, because sudo gives permission. Sudo is above all the users. Okay, so sudo gives all the permissions to change the file or alter it. Okay, okay, we still don't have permission to write into this file. Sudo echo, okay, I don't think so. Like, sudo, I don't know why it doesn't. Okay, so I guess I have to change the permission first. Hue plus w, then the name of the file, then this echo command. So you can see we don't get any kind of error this time, because we have given it a write permission. You can check it here. We have given the write permission to the user. So this is how the write permission actually works. Okay, so let me show you one more thing. Like, first make me a directory test2. Now if we do ls-l, so we can see we have a lot of permissions for the all the three permissions for the user. Now we will take back the execute permission. Okay, sorry, execute permission for this test folder. Okay, so we cannot access test, no such file. Okay, so there's wrong in the name. Yeah, so let's see we have applied the permission or not. Okay, so we take back all the permission to execute from all the three owners. Now if we want to change the activity to the test2 folder, let's see what will happen. So it's show denied. Let's see we can do with the sudo command or not. Okay, so we cannot actually use the sudo for that. We have to be some permission to run a previous cell. Okay, so let's leave it right here. So you can see we cannot move inside to the test2 folder. Let's first keep the permission for execution. Okay, let me show you. Like you can't execute on this folder. Let's see, we can write inside, like we can, okay, we cannot do any kind of permissions, we cannot do any kind of operation on this folder. Let's first keep the permission to execute for the user. Now let's move inside the test2 folder, ls. Okay, so there's nothing. Let's create a folder, test2.txt, and now we will leave it as it is. Come back. Now we will change the permissions to chmod u-x, then test2, then checking the permissions again. Now we don't have execute permissions, but we have write permissions. Let's see, we can change the file inside the test2 folder or not. See, let's say, okay, sorry. Warning, changing a read-only file, because changing any kind of content will perform an execution on the directory, so we cannot perform any kind of changes. But still, let's see. Okay, so we cannot do any kind of execution on this folder. Okay, so let's come back. Let's see, we can cat this folder or not, this file or not. Okay, we have all kind of permission denied from this folder. This is test2 folder, just because we don't give execute permission to this folder. So here you can see what permission is, what kind of permission, like how the permission is so much important for a folder, a directory or file. Now let's keep back the permission u plus, okay, sorry, u plus x test2, checking the permissions. Now clearing the terminal. Now if you want to change the file, let's say save. As you can see, we are able to save that. Now checking the content, here you can see we have printed the content just because we have given the permission to execute the file. Okay, so this is it, like this is more than enough how we can change the ownership of the file through the chmod command. So let's move to one another most important part, one efficient part for changing the ownership of the directory and files. So let's move to our numerical representation, how we can efficiently change the ownership of the file. So let's first clear terminal, ls-l. Okay, I want you to remember these three values, like what three values are represented for the read, write and execute. So for read, we have given it a value of 4. For the write, we have given a value of 2, whereas for execute, we have given the value of 1. So here you can see it has sum of 7. I will explain you in a bit short, like how this is actually works. Okay, so I forgot one thing to show you. Okay, so let's take back a moment. Okay, so leave it. Okay, so for read, write and execute, we have three different values. I want you to remember this because we are going to change the permission of the folders and files through this, through the numerical representation. Okay, this is efficient way of doing this. So okay, so chmod. Now what, let's see, we have all the permissions for the user, group and the others part, all the three permissions of read and write and execute for all the three users. So let's see what will happen if we write 707 for the for this file. Okay, so it has been applied without any error. Now let's see, check the permissions. So here you can see we have removed all the permissions for the group, whereas for the others and for the user it has still there. Most of them, like some of them, you have identified how this has happened or something, because as you can see 4 plus 2 plus 1 is pretty much 7, and there's 7 for this, 0 is for nothing, 7 is given, like we have all the three permissions for this, all the three permissions for this, for others, but there is no permission for the group part. Okay, so let me show you how you can do that. So for each number, like for 1 we have x for execution, 2 is for is for writing, 3 numeric is for, okay, so here you can see there is no 3 in this numerical representation, but we can create a 3 by summing, by adding two things, the write one and the execute one. Okay, so for that we have write and execute. Then we have 4 for read. Now 5, here you can see we don't have any 5 in this numerical representation. So how we can obtain 5? We can obtain 5 by adding execute and read permissions. So read and execute. And 6, similarly for 6 there is no 6, we have to use other numbers to make up 6. So for that we will use read and write, so that is r and w, and last one is 7. So how we can build 7? Through these three values only, so by adding all the three ones. So read, write and execute. So here you can see just by representing three just by representing read, write, execute with the three numerical values, we can perform all the permissions to a particular folder or file in the range of 1 to 7. Okay, so just remember this. Okay, if we use any kind of number from this, like let's say where is this, okay, we can only, this one is the first element is for user, the first okay, what is happening is this, the first one is for user, the second is one for group, and the third one is for the others part. So we have given 7 on the user part, that's mean we have given all the read, write permission for the user. We haven't given, okay, so I didn't mention here is, so 0 is for nothing. Okay, blank space. So for 0 means no read, no write, no execute permissions, whereas again there is 7, that is for read, write, execute for the others part. Here we can see accordingly the changes has happened to the file permissions. Now let's try with some more. Now let's see if we want to change the permission of, okay, let's see, we want to give permission for the group, we want to change the permission to read and write. Okay, for that, and don't want any kind of permission for the user and for the others, so we can do that. read and write. So read and write sum of 6, then again 0, then the file name. Now check for that. Here you can see we have given all the permissions, we have taken back all the permission for this file of executing and reading and writing for two users, for user and others part, whereas we have given the read and write permission to the group. Here you can see. So for the next part, like similarly, let's check 7. Okay, so 8 here, just by mistake write 8. So we cannot use 8 because the maximum numerical value it can reach is 7. Let's see what will happen if we write 8 instead of limiting to 7. So you can see it is just invalid mode. Okay, so we cannot apply any kind of changes through 8 because it has only limited to the 7. We can also check through chmod -h help command. So you will see -c is for changing the made, like F is for silently, V is for verbose, giving a reference of what exactly changing, and R for recursively. We will use it when we are changing the permissions for the directory in a few moments. Okay, so let's similarly, let's say if you want to change the permissions for the user, how we can do that. Let's say we want to add this for the test file. Okay, now we will see. So we have read write permission for the user, and again if we want to remove back, so do this again, check. So we have removed the permission for read and write for the user. We can do similar with this numerical value for, okay, so for read and write 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 0 0. We have specified no permission for group and others for now. So name of the file followed by the name of the file. Checking back again. So here you can see by giving this two permissions for this and this, you can specify what is the difference, how it is efficient with this one. Here you can see we have given the permission for this, and like if you want to add more permissions, like if you want to change the permission for the group or others, we won't be able to do that. But here you can see I would be able to change the permission for all the 3 ownership just by giving one option with this chmod command. So this is more efficient than using this one, and there is more to it, like we can also change the ownership of the file and directory. So let's before that what if we want to change the ownership. Okay, so let me first create one more file, test.1.txt. Going back to the previous folder. Okay, so let's say if we want to change the permission for test2, so how will happen? First move into the test2 folder, ls-l. So here you can see we have pretty much permission for the user and group of read and write one, but not for the execution. Now we will move back. What will happen if we give permission of read, write, execute for all the 3 ownership for this tag tree? Okay, we don't get any denial of permission. Let's see what changes has been made. Okay, you can see all the three users, all the three permissions read and execute. Now moving inside this, checking for permissions. So here you can see the permission of the directory, for all the three users has been changed regarding the read write execute, whereas for the files inside this directory there is no such change. So for the change to be implemented for all the files or folders inside this directory, we have to use another option of flag, that is -R. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, let's take back all the permissions for this folder. Now checking here you can see we don't have any permission to this folder. First clear the terminal. Let's see back. Okay, now we will give the permission to read and execute to this test folder, and we will add another flag or option with this command chmod that will recursively change the permission of all the files and folder that is present inside this folder. Okay, now we won't get any kind of error or issue with that. So let's check back the permissions. Here you can see all the three users get all the three permissions. Now if you move inside this test2 directory, seeing for that, okay, so sorry. So here you can see previously when we don't specify -R flag, so we will be able to change the permission for the folder, for the main directory, but we won't be able to change the permission for the files and folder inside this directory. But if we add a flag -R, so we will be able to change the permission of all the files and directory present inside this directory. This is more efficient, but do it with precaution, like do what you said. Okay, if you know what exactly you are doing. Now taking back all the permissions, I guess. Sorry, chmod. So we have read and write permission, that is 4. Then the folder name. What has happened? chmod cannot access this file. Why so? ls-l test2. Okay, did you get what this array is for? So we have taken back. Okay, so how it runs? For it changes the ownership for the user first. So here you can see there's 6. That's mean we have given the permission to read and write, but we didn't give any permission to execute. Then this part, so first it run for this directory. Okay, first it change the ownership for this directory, but when it moves inside this directory recursively for the files and directories inside this directory, it won't be able to change it because we don't give permission to execute any kind of command, any kind of changes inside this directory. So for that we have to first change the permission 764 -R test2. Now I don't think this time it will show any error. Yeah, here you can see it won't show any error because like in the previous thing the previous command. Why it shows error? Because we first it run for the directory, for the main upper directory, parent directory. Then it will recursively run for the files and directories present inside this main parent directory. Okay, so first of all, it's changed the permission to give only the permission of read and write, but not execute to the parent directory, due to which we won't be able to change the permission of files and folders inside this directory. Do you get it? Okay, so we can also change the ownership. First let me show you, like we have two owners. So we have a owner phantom dash l. Now if like sorry dash l, so if we want to change the ownership of this particular directory, how we can do that? We use another command, that is chown, abbreviation for change ownership. Then we will specify, like for what we want to change the ownership. Let's say we want to change the ownership for phantom for this folder, that is test2. Okay, so it doesn't have any kind of permission because we are changing the user. So for that we have to use sudo. Now it doesn't show any kind of error. That means I guess the ownership has been changed. Okay, for this directory you can see the ownership has been changed, phantom. Now if we want to move inside this directory, let's see we will be able to do or not. Okay, so here you can see we are restricted from entering inside this directory because we don't have this permission. Now if we want to like completely change the owner to for this directory, how we can do that? Sudo chown phantom, then again the name of the name of the group it belongs to, the primary group name, then the folder name. Okay, checking again. Here you can see the group and username has been completely changed. So if we kind of try to do anything inside this phantom, so inside this test2 directory, we won't be able to do that because we will show the permission denied. Okay, so okay, here you can see one more thing. Here you can see you get the result, and one more thing, you will find this permission denied. So let me explain you what it is. So it has permission to read, write, execute for this user, and then for the read, write for this group, random group, but for the others we have only read permissions. And we try to run this command through this others part, we won't be able to execute it, but we will be able to read it. Okay, so what kind of files and folders inside this test directory. Okay, now if you want to change back to our ownership again, so we can change Shubham, and if we didn't specify the name here, like if we didn't specify something, just to enter. Okay, sorry, we have to give sudo permissions in order to change the ownership. Now checking back, you can see the name of the group and the primary group it is associated with, it changed the both one. It takes by default the primary group of this user and change accordingly. And if you want to change the group, let's say the group name is random. Okay, in the name of the directory, Okay, so this is not the way we can do that. Okay, so this is pretty much. You can also change the permissions. First change the change the permission for, don't use 77 without knowing what it is. Like, you know, right now you know, but I'm just doing it for testing. So, and this is not a main file, so I'm just giving a permission of all the read that execute, but do it only when you know what you're doing. Okay, let's confirm all permissions has been given. Yeah, now we want to change the ownership to phantom for this directory. Okay, we didn't specify sudo permission to this. Now checking back. Now if you want to move back, we are able to move back because others have permissions. Here you can see others have permission to read, write, execute. Now if we like, here you can see if you want to do this, here you can see this folder has permission of phantom user, whereas inside this folder we don't have permission. Sorry, it doesn't show the permission for the phantom, it shows the permission for the Shubham again. So for changing that we have to use recursive. Let's see how we can do that. Chowner recursive phantom test2. Okay, operation denied, giving sudo permissions. Now checking for the results, all the permissions here, having phantom in the user. Okay, now let's move inside this folder, checking the permission here. Here you can see the name of the user has been changed successfully. So we can assign we can change the ownership, the permission of the files and folder inside a particular directory through the R option. This is used for recursively changing the ownership. Okay, so for this session, okay, so for this session of Linux file permissions and ownership, we have successfully learn about the file permissions and ownership, and also change the permissions for directories and files. Also know what kind of permissions are there, its numerical representation. So this is it for the file permission and ownership. Now we will learn about the package manager in the next session.